So we are live. LA natives,
Tongvaland.
Tungvaland, Tungvaland. Yeah, Richie, make sure you come up to the microphone and you too, miss.
Let's go ahead and play some of those beats. Zero.
Okie dokie. Oh, we came with the Ciudad Celestial. I think we only programmed those, but it's cool. We got Richie in the house.
What up? What up?
1492, Indigenous 1492. Check him out. He is probably one of the dopest apparel designers. I know he doesn't like to hear. He's a really humble guy. Believe me, you're gonna hear him just not deny it. But I remember when in the early 2000, when people got into making shirts for the indigenous cause, had this feel to it, you know, and then it went away, obviously, because life happens and those things that are that we once were passionate about, we can't do anymore.
When did you see it come back? Like, when did you see it
With your
resurrect?
stuff, when you went to Hollywood, and gave
Yeah.
me the hats.
That was the first time I met you guys too. I was like, what? It's the guys from the video.
So I met Richie on Hollywood Boulevard for a protest for the No Dapple, the North Dakota pipeline, and so, um, yeah, he this young kid comes up to me and tells me, like, gives me these hats, and I'm like, fuck, what the fuck? And they had a really dope design because the one you gave me had like native print on the bill, and then it said indigenous, and it had the unapku, and it instantly took me back to the time of like early 94, 96 when we started getting our identity, really influencing that in our clothing, in our music. This is like the early Six Sun prophecy stuff, where the abuelos that came to our community, and they would, tell us about the Sixth Sun and how we were going to become enlightened and really rooted into our indigenous past.
That's
So,
like the early 90s right there.
like 96,
Were
97.
you already rapping? Or
At that point, I had was putting together, and I was executive producing and co-producing an album called Calpuli. That was my first hip hop project, and that came out in '99.
99?
But what I'm talking about is like the designers that went into representing indigenous culture, like
Like
as a shirt.
Insurgents. Shout out to Insurgents. 'Cause
Absolutely,
they've been
Votan.
doing it. They've been doing it for a while. So shout out to them.
And that's who I'm talking about. Like, Votan was there when we were playing the shows of identity, Al Vuh, coming to the community and saying that we're of indigenous descent. And that was a foreign thing for a lot of people. They were like, wait a minute, I'm not native, I'm not Indio. And they're like, making tamales and making pozole, curing with ruda. It's like, come on, that's indigenous knowledge that didn't go away. They got beaten out of us, but it never went away. So, what I'm trying to say is that your clothing really encompassed that vibe. And by looking at your Instagram, is hella successful, bro.
Just doing this thing
Yeah.
every now and then. I feel like, yeah, IG be watching my shit though, and like,
You
shadow
know,
banning, but
and you should be proud of that, brother,
yeah,
because
good.
you came. I mean, you came at a time where your persona can be, put out to the masses in a way where we were still trying to figure that out. Like, what, we press 1,000 CDs? Like, we didn't even have a fan base for it, Armando. Like, we were just like printing CDs for like,
I love your website, by the way.
Oh,
Y-
thank
yeah.
you. Shout out to my partner Sochi because she's the one behind all of that right there. So big ups to you,
Nice,
Sochi.
nice. Well, say hi, Xochitl.
What up,
Say hi to the
Sochi?
audience. How you doing?
She more nervous than me. I'm nervous. but
Ah, don't
she's
be
fine.
nervous, dude. Like, we're like talking to our community. We're in a, like, picture a fire, picture a circle, and no one has any hierarchy. We just expressing our hearts.
Richie, you're one of the most influential independent cats out there for the indigenous culture, bro. Just saying that right now.
That's an honor. So thank you, Armando. And like you, like, yeah, it's cool being here. It's my second time being here at the Underground Hip Hop Studio Block. So it's just like, whoa, like
Yeah.
I feel like what am I doing here? Like I'm not a rapper
Well,
or nothing, but
I mean, you're
like
doing
I appreciate
exactly.
it.
I think you're doing exactly what what I'm trying to explain is bringing back that fire. You know what I mean, to the youth. Like, represent yourself.
Yeah.
It's okay to wear a big old beanie that says indigenous. Oh, what does that mean? What it means, what it means, and whatever knowledge you have, whatever capacity of wisdom you have, that's what you share with people. And little by little, if we continue to do that, that's when we see change.
That's what's up. Yeah, and
You know what I
like
mean?
shout out to you and like your generation that introduced this to us. Because without you guys, we wouldn't be following it. And like, so thank you, Zero and El Vuh, everybody.
Well, I mean, like I said, I have to, with this podcast, create and put an arm out and go, look, this has been my experience. We have experienced a lot of good things as that group, as El Vu, and we were able to touch a lot of hearts. That's why when I met you at an El Vu show and you gave us those hats, I knew that the youth. What was I gonna do? How can I help them?
Yeah.
You know, how can I help the youth that's coming up, the Siwats and you know, what am I going to do for this generation? You know, and Armando hit me with the podcast. I go, I'll expose them and I'll have conversations with them. And those things that they feel they're struggling with, I can guide, not tell you what to do, because I tell my children that. I go, Oline, Shalot, I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm here to guide you. It's your job to make the decision. And guess what? It's going to be the wrong one, but you're going to have your dad there to help you through it.
That's what's up.
And that's indigenous. That's the way we raise our children. Don't you think?
That's beautiful right there. Because yeah, it's all about the generations coming up ahead. You know, so everything we do, it's gonna affect them. So like,
Absolutely.
we have to walk straight, keep moving forward, and whatever feels right in our heart, we got to keep doing,
Yeah.
bringing it to the world.
Yeah. I mean, being in a youthful position of influence, like you are with your clothing and your intention, you know, because it's not just about clothing with you. I see your page. It's not just, I'm going to promote my shirts and make money. It's, wow, my shirts are really popular. And now I have a voice. And what am I going to say? I'm going to protest about the people being incarcerated who are children. I'm going to say things. So I really admire your page on that note. Talk about that, dude.
Yeah, I mean, the page is there to it represents indigenous resistance and everything we've been going through for 528 years and everything that we're going to continue going on from today. I mean, everything we do is really for the next generation. So whether it be talking about indigenous history or current histories that's happening right now, whether it be here in the so-called United States or in
Right.
other Latin countries, which
Right.
you know, everything that's happening affects us right now and it affects the future generations. So it's important to talk about it because if we don't talk about it, it's like we're walking around just sleep, you know?
Absolutely.
It's like,
Yeah, I mean, to do that through clothing, that's an impressive art, you know, because putting together a few words, you know, or looking at something and contrasting it, like this shirt, you know. Everybody shout out to 1492 right here with the dope shirt, make, you know, America indigenous again. I mean, those little statements that you make with your shirts impact people and give them pride. And not only that, but it makes them research so that when they get hit up, what do you mean indigenous? You look white, you know, and
what do you mean 1492? What does that mean?
exactly.
Christopher Columbus. Like,
Right. And then so your audience goes out there to YouTube and they go and research and then they back themselves up. Right. So your shirt ends up, your hat ends up being the shield.
that's all I wanted it to be like just wear it with pride and to educate people that don't know or like people that want to learn more. That's what it's all about. So thank you, man.
No, man, you know, that's the hard thing we had to deal with in the early time of the awakening of our ancestors and us actually believing that we are these people prophesized 500 years ago to come back and share a message. When people go, the prophecy of Cuauhtémoc, I truly never believed it was going to be like a bloody revolution. I knew it was going to be an ancient awakening genetically, right, through certain ceremonies, that would help us understand our environment and then reach out to those that are, because it's like a relay race. If I don't reach out to you, Richie, if I don't go, brother, I love you, I love your message, I don't agree everything what you're saying, because that's not, I don't think that's the role. The role is not to go follow what I do. The role is, oh man, look at Richie blossom and do good things for our community in a good way, because you give a lot of things away. I've never seen you as a corporate trying to make it into Macy's kind of dude. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, that's what I've learned since little, like to always give stuff.
Nice.
It comes from the heart, but like, yeah, sometimes people are like, oh, you give away too much stuff, but it's like, yeah, it comes from the heart. So
That's what makes you successful, though,
the more
Richie.
you give, the more you shall receive, type shit. So
And,
it's like,
and- dude, and I knew that immediately when you gave me those hats. Like it was almost like you didn't even say hi or like, hey, what's up? My name's Richie. I'm doing this clothing line. You know, hey, I like your music. Here's your hat. You just like, and you just gave them to me. And I was like, oh wow, this is dope. Like, how am I gonna wear this, or how am I gonna use this? You know, and with social media starting to get to be the only way of communication almost, I just, would wear it and take a picture with it and share it. And when I go live, I make sure I'm conscious of sharing your clothing because it
oh,
reminds
thank
me
you.
of that
Like,
time.
thank you for that, because yeah, and, I see that, and that means a lot, because that's the way we network, I guess. So I appreciate that.
And so, to the community out there, I really want to put it out there that when you wear a hat made from Richie, you're part of a bigger community. That bigger community that we were talking about in my first podcast, where it's an inclusive understanding. No one knows more than others, and the orphaned abuelos are now in control here through the spirit realm, through us. You know what I mean?
I feel that.
Because that's really where the challenge lies. The challenge lies in controlling your own self. How do you feel about that? Because I remember we used to get into some really deep philosophical questions. I mean, I've known Richie for years now, since the Hollywood thing. So,
I mean, what was the question? Or like,
yeah.
I got the question you asked, but like, explain it one more time. Or
So, I mean,
like, we're trying to be the creators, or
well, what we're trying to do is understand that all indigenous communities
Okay.
are one community.
yeah,
And that's what I see with your clothing. That's why I asked you that question, like,
I think like, yeah, we're all is one, and obviously there's different tribes, different
Absolutely,
creation stories,
absolutely.
different ceremonies, different, but all is one, and this goes for indigenous people all around the world, not just here in Turtle Island, but
Mhm.
like indigenous people, like let's say in Europe, or our African indigenous brothers,
Absolutely. Yeah. Global.
global indigenous. And I think it's time that we return back to our roots,
Absolutely.
and it's that time, because the way we're supposed to be lived, civilized, the way the Europeans want us to live, it's just affecting the earth, it's affecting us,
Absolutely.
with whether it be with alcohol, drugs.
Mhm.
It's not right for us, and it's just slowly but surely you just see people going back to the roots, whether it be with plants, whether it be eating healthy.
Uh-huh.
Ali and Ali,
Absolutely.
hit you up with some more of that stuff, but
Yeah.
it's all about returning back to the roots, whatever that means.
Yeah. So, I mean, in the first podcast, I put out to the community and into the audience that, yes, I know that not stripping away your heritage by saying, oh, I'm this native,
Yeah.
right? What I'm saying is that the answer to our oppression of 520 years is our own fault,
It's our own.
because we are not able to unite in a way that's productive for us. You understand? Like, because
It's
we,
always
because
been
we,
like that though. Like, don't you feel like it's always like a divide and conquer type thing, or
absolutely, because we're children who were taught by oppressed people. It wasn't like adults that went and signed up for this class of patriarchy, nationalism, that kind of thing. You know what I mean? It wasn't that we were indoctrinated for a very long time. And that's what I'm trying to challenge, is the invisible indoctrination of us. And that's the question. That's where I tell people that are challenge Native groups, not to say, I'm not proud to be Navajo or I'm not. And it's along the lines of what you just finished saying about being a global community. But when it comes to the addressing the genocide
Yeah.
of our people that never has been addressed, it seems to be like, oh yeah, that happened a long time ago. You're still tripping about that? Yeah, when you kill my grandmother, my grandfather, and everybody who I ever known, take me as a child, traffic me, abuse me, and do that for, I don't know, 500 years,
Generation after generation
then,
till this day.
right, then that's where the indoctrination comes. So my whole point of what we're just talking or discussing is maybe letting down the guard of clan or tribe for a second to recognize we're in one community, we're in a global community, we have medicines that we need to share in a good way and create those relations again. That doesn't happen overnight, but it doesn't happen if you don't introduce it at all.
But then that's the thing too, because you start talking about this, and then there's always going to be people like, oh no, that's our knowledge. We're supposed to know that only. We can't share it with those people because then they're gonna flip it.
Right.
And it could go like that, but then it's like, how are we ever gonna heal? And I always think about it too, like before diving into your roots and going in there, you should dive deep inside your own self and heal that inner trauma you have.
Absolutely. It's
'Cause
about healing that.
without that, you could be doing all of this holy stuff or praying with crystals and sage, but if you don't, it's inside you, like it's just like, what are you doing?
Exactly. And some people don't even want to address the fact
It's scary,
that they were of this code. That's my whole point. That's been my whole career. Is understand you're in, go, whoa, what was the road? And whoa, fuck, like damn, like that.
The
Like
road.
Jesus Christ, yeah, it doesn't still happening. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that the unity from the heart. And there was an abuela that came out like if she was young with her crystal staff. She wasn't hiding anything. She knew that she had to give this medicine to whoever was there and whatever they were doing. So you have to earn those things. And when we come from the city, we feel like, oh, well, I mean, I should be given this power because I'm here.
Yeah.
But there's rites of passages to everything. And those are the things that we need to be patient with each other and know that we're still one cause, right? If you go across the board indigenous wise, we all believe in Mother Earth, right? Father Sky, four directions, water, fire, stars. I mean, look across. It's the same, is what I'm trying to say.
Like all stories are similar
in the same way, right? Not exactly the same because we're all, separate individuals that went separate roads and went through different experiences. And even on the road, even in the story of the Mexica, when they came from Utah, not all of them went to the Valley of Mexico. Some of them stayed in certain regions, and now those are those natives that are in those places. They decided not to follow the long journey. So, I mean, in the prophecy, though, the abuelo said that we would wake up to that. And that's what I think it is. Being proud of who you are and figuring out through your own community how to deal with oppressors. Because if you think in the Mexica time that we didn't have oppressors, then you're not on the right path. I mean, there's always been oppressors. We've been fighting oppression for a long time. That's why they were a warrior people. Because they always had to be aware. They were always in their medicine. They were always in their element.
So where do you think that oppression came from then?
I think it's just greed.
From greed.
Everyone has it. Everyone gets to a point where they feel.
How do you see that right now? Like, so in 2020, like let's just say in the community.
Right.
You still see that in the community?
I see people like you. I see people like you that are tired of the politic part of it, tired of the ego part of it,
Yeah.
but you're dealing with
So many
things that will
different.
make you super famous in like a month, you know? And did you really earn that thing? You know, did you really have to, like, I sound such like I'm dating myself by saying this. Ooh, back in the day when we used to, you know, where's my cane?
Back mother.
Yeah. But, you know, there was a lot to becoming a successful group in Los Angeles. It wasn't just putting a
Just
dope song on IG and then everybody sharing it and then boom, you're there.
yeah,
You know,
shopping around to the right people or what?
or passing flyers or going to places and going to gigs where you go, oh well, that though I think those people will like what we're saying and hope that they would come to your event or do some things like that. That's what really made the early 2000s music like Aslan Underground, Quinto Sol, Ozo Motley, all these bands that really kind of fused together during a time that was needed for identity. Because look at where we're at now. Not to get into it because we don't need to. This has been happening for a long time. This is not something to panic about. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, address it, address it. Address what? This is the same shit. It's the same shit's been happening forever. You know, and now they're just in your face about it. You know? So um, what I see is hope. What I see is brothers like you being able to maybe see a little bit better than we did. Because you know that when you look at me, I can feel like you see me, not a
Not,
popular or whatever or indigenous hip hop artist. You see me like Zero, like, oh yeah, look, he has kids, he has a wife, he has, you know, he has a good intention going. You know, I'm not.
like a mentor, like a role model or a
That's
teacher.
that's what that's what the future generation has to do. We never had that. It was fighting and oh, I can't believe he did this and I can't believe he did that. And it's like, oh, I heard, you know, all that I heard and he did this and he pulled out his feathers when he shouldn't have. And you know why I pull out my feathers now?
Why is that?
Because I prayed with them for over 10 years.
They mean something to you.
Yeah. Yeah. The intention was like, I'm not going to use this until I feel like I can. Until, and then one day, and it feels like the medicine's talking to me and it's going, why don't you use me? Like I'm right here. It's like, oh, okay, okay. And that connection, you know, that you have your own personal connection with eagle feathers, hawk wings, all those things, those are personal connections, you know. So, man, I feel like I'm dominating this talk, man.
Or every time you
Richie, say something, man.
like, it's shout out to you and your medicine. Like every time you hit the stage, you're always carrying it too, aren't you?
Absolutely, I have to carry it because that's been my prayer, bro. Like,
No, that's what it's all about. Cause our little sacred items, our
Yeah.
medicine, you know, that's
Yeah.
what keeps us going, keeps us walking straight.
absolutely.
So
Talk about something you have. What is your prayer medicine? How do you pray, Richie?
pray just little
'Cause-
conversations in my head throughout the day, all day,
Nice.
and of course with the medicine, sage. I've been going to ceremony, but this whole 2020, you know, I haven't hit ceremony since it started in
Right.
March. So yeah, that's really like my prayers, and usually with the psychedelics, but you know,
Yeah.
I kind of stopped that for a minute. So
Good.
so yeah,
I mean, everybody walks their road with that, you know, because, you know, everybody goes, they have their ayahuasca badge or their peyote badge, and they're like, oh, yeah, look, I do it.
yeah,
You know, and it's not, that kind of medicine is not done for that. Like, that medicine has its own way, and it's only there to give you a little glimpse, and then you have to translate what,
because the medicine's always gonna be within
Yeah.
you. So it's like you know, don't do it overboard. Don't fucking do it too much, because
yeah, well,
gotta stay in that state of mind. You know.
and that's the thing is that we put a lot on the mind. And from the teachings that I've been able to understand and take in, the centralization of everything is the heart. But they go, wait, the heart's not the brain. It doesn't, but it doesn't need to. The function of the heart is to pump blood translate hormone, send it to the brain. I mean, it has such a complex, it has so many jobs and does so many things for the human body that I feel like it's like looking at the sun, it just is. And that's your spirit because it pumps through there, right? And it sends the information to your brain. So I could see how people who try to use that medicine, and trying to find an answer to something that they already have, it'll just put a mirror right back to, you already have this, bro. Like, I'm just the guide.
Exactly. So yeah, that's how normally I was praying,
Yeah.
and I mean, yeah, this 2020 has been crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a challenge, but
Been
know that,
good. It's been bad. It's been bad. It's been good.
right? I mean, if I contrast what's happened to what has happened in the past, at least they're not pulling us out of our bedrooms and
Putting us in a camp or something.
yeah, or shooting us on site.
Or not yet.
Not yet. Well, I mean, those that are going to resist and do what they have to do is going to be a strategic understanding, because you have to protect yourself. No one's not going to not protect themselves, and and the best way to protect yourself is to know what you're facing, right? And if you're facing um, ego, let's just call it in general. It's just the ego, right? And you just submit to somebody going, I have a great ego and I have a great idea. And you go, oh my God, there, okay, fuck it, I give up. That's not the way it works in the world. They come from an oppressive lineage thousands of years. So they're going to try to impose that to any and everyone. What are we going to do? How are we going to fight for our right? And it doesn't mean I have to protest and write a law that's going to say that they're going to give me permission to. Because if you go through
Their system.
that system, they're
Yeah.
just going to manipulate it.
Exactly. Reality, you're not gonna change nothing. Like
Absolutely.
you might think you're changing something, but they're just changing you, if anything.
Yeah, yeah, like,
Changing
like
your thoughts, your mind.
yeah, because what change happens, like what you told me about 10 minutes ago, it happens within. When you go, before you go try doing these medicines, before you try to take the quick route of opening the door of your indigenous past, find out who you are. How were you hurt?
What hurts you?
Yeah.
What traumas do you hold? What traumas do your ancestors hold?
And when I look at you, Richie, and when I've talked to you, I think that's been your road. You're like healing your own self, and it's cool to see because it reminds me of a young me trying to heal myself with no guidance and no elder and no anything. All we had was documentaries and looking at the stars and actually believing that they're communicating, you know, and they are
So like
if you're connected.
it's crazy because like I try to put myself in your shoes, like coming up in that time, like damn, you had to do it like that, like documentaries, books, or just from elders, and it's like damn, you don't really come across that many elders unless you're in the community or something. So like, shout out to you guys in your
Well,
generation.
I mean, I think then that's our job. The generation, our job is like, okay, well, I know who the elder was that gave the talk when I was young. How can I organize that? How can I bring that to my brothers right here, the generation? I have to put my hand out and help that generation because when I do that for your family, then my children have family, and then you're
Amen.
pulling their hand out, and then, I
Like the little DNA sound,
exactly,
we
and I
all have
think
to, or
that
the relay race, how you just said, passing on the baton.
exactly, 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 because this isn't an overnight thing. This is about relearning our principles and applying them to our lives. Like, I respect and love my partner. I adore my children. Unfortunately, we grew up in generations prior to that where maybe both parents were on that same page, and that's okay because they've suffered their own oppression
Traumas
and their own traumas. And yeah,
just the way they came up, like cool. I look at my parents and it's like, man, just whole different generations. My mom had me at 41, so it's like, damn, like the way she grew up compared to the way I grew up, it's different. And sometimes I get mad, but I can't get mad at it because that's just the way she was brought up. And I also mean like her whole generation. So
I mean, when you look at your parents' road, ooh, like you go, whoa, I thought I was dealing with stuff now,
yeah,
and that's where at one point you show that bit of compassion that they try to beat out of you, right? Like, no, don't forgive. You know, our power is to forgive, but not to let it happen again. To be strong enough to avoid with respect. It that's innate. Being and sometimes I struggle with individuals when I say this, but we're orphaned souls. Like it was the children of children that were raised under this indoctrination. It wasn't adults. I can't see an adult going, oh, yeah, that sounds cool. Let's, think that we're better than other people and blah, blah, blah. I mean, you see it in some, like, really, like when the senators of, Mexican descent or whatever, you could see that kind of indoctrination. But us, we go through the cheap one, public school, whatever it is that's there. And then all that becomes traumatic to us. And then we find out, oh, wait, this is our original land.
oh, they don't even talk about that. I remember like the only time they talked about native stuff growing up in school was probably like in fourth grade when they made us build like a mission or something. And even then, they don't talk about the real history of how the mission was built and
Right.
who built the mission. They make it seem like, oh, it's a nice little fairy tale. All the natives built it and they lived happily ever after. But yeah, who knows what really happened there? All the rape, the murder,
What
the
a
tortures.
what a trip! As a child, I was one of those victims.
And
I,
you,
I had to build one of those missions out of paper mache and
Yeah.
compete,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And just like how you described it, I kind of made it like tribal, indigenous, and I had no idea what I was doing though.
That's just crazy.
My kid came up to me and said that, like, oh, I got to make this mission. And I was like, okay, well, make sure that we make enough bodies of children and, like a little, window up there with a priest and a child, because that's what happened. I mean, it's not, I don't try to sugarcoat to my children anything.
Don't fake the funk.
No, I have to tell them that this is their true history. And that way they go, wow, wow, why did they do that? And what? And that way they're just aware of it, you know? But I was in the same boat as Mondo, like trying to build a mission thinking, oh, wow, these guys were cool. These guys loved us. It's like they're molesting,
Changing names.
child trafficking. I mean, these guys were not nice people. No matter what they are, they were not nice people if you look them up.
And that's like the energy, whatever energy those people carry, the energy still lives today. And that's why shit's still happening. And it's like when you hear shit about the churches, priests, fathers raping kids, or
Yeah.
I be watching YouTube and I always get that little fucking ad about, have you been touched in the Boy Scouts? And it's like that same energy still lives on to this day. And it's like, how do we overcome that energy?
Well, I mean, the way you do it is you go, I'm going to be a family and I'm not going to go down that road. And that's okay. I'm going to find another road. And when you do that, when you go, I'm not going to go down the road that everybody's going down, and you turn to let's make the road the right. And then you turn to the left because that's where the heart is and that's where the hummingbird lives. And you turn to the left and you go, whoa, there's a universe, there's planets, there's mountains, there's nature, there's so many other things. When you just don't believe it. A lot of people, they say, wow, the Mayas disappeared overnight.
They're still here.
Right? They are still here.
Yeah.
in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, and anybody who has comments out there in the community, my partner is holding it down with the message. JB, I see you came in. I gotta acknowledge my wife because she needs to be acknowledged. Anyways, yeah, what was I saying? Oh, the Mayas, and they go, oh yeah, they disappeared every night and overnight, and they went into different portals, and yeah, they were very advanced, and who knows the true story. But I think to destroy a city of that capacity, of that organization, of that height of knowledge, people just stopped believing in what they were saying, the leaders.
You think so?
I think so. I think they just went, dude, you're going overboard.
What
You're
happened?
doing something that's not the community, it's affecting the community.
So like the ego got to the.
I'm not saying that we didn't walk without ego. Imagine though, imagine organizing people, giving them nutrition, seeing the temples and all the organization and the constellations being prayed at certain days and certain time, and the ritual doesn't end until somebody goes off the deep end and starts doing crazy shit. And then the people that are actually contributing to that city go, I don't agree with that. And they walk away. And there goes the temple, getting eaten up by the forest. Because you have to have a good intention when you build something. We can't think that capitalism and European perspectives are the way and the only way,
It's the future.
right? The only way to survive. You come from organized people. They knew how to organize villages. They knew how to organize big cities.
Build
We-
temples, build pyramids, aqueducts, shower every day.
I mean, exactly. I mean, they had a system, and I think in Nezahualcóyotl, they had water running up the mountain. How do you make, I mean, the water, when the Europeans came and saw it, they were like, what the fuck is happening here? Like, what kind of magic are they doing here? And it's all called, you know what the magic was?
What was the magic?
Math,
Man. That's cool.
engineering. That's what it was. Math,
This is off
engineering.
This is off topic, but have you guys seen that YouTube channel with the two like native guys? They're probably like in Thailand or somewhere, and they be getting down, building houses all in the jungle.
Oh, damn, no, I haven't
Are
heard
you,
that.
like-
are you talking about the guys that built those pools?
The pools, underground
Yeah,
pools.
man.
Yeah. So,
Low
like,
key, we know they're millionaires, man, building, those
They-
type of
they get down.
projects.
So I just picture like our people like building that, but like, yeah.
I
Back
mean,
to the topic.
no, I mean, you don't build structures in those jungles in that environment without math, without, it was a very different math. It's a very different science because it was rooted in ritual. When it's almost like, oh yeah, look, I have the answer to a genetic code, and I start putting out feathers and my sage, and the scientist is gonna be like, what the fuck is this guy doing? Like, no, but let me show you, let me explain to you how it works, and then you do it, and they're like, oh shit, he knew what he was saying. It's a different perspective. It's not based on ego, where Sigmund Freud wrote this book, and now all you got a lineage of Sigmund Freud followers, and how Freud is the god of whatever. You know what I mean? That's the way the system built these things, based on Roman structures and ego and thought,
Like how Charles Darwin too.
Yeah.
Like they talk Darwin. And supposedly like he wrote a whole way like the animals do get along and shit, but they never published that part of it. Like all we thought the dominant ones are the dominant ones and shit.
Well, it all comes down to how people who can manufacture messages, whether it be a print, whether it be through radio signal, whether it be through the internet, how effective can they do their message, And when we get into the realms of publishing, well, then it's very simple to see who's being published, who's being edited, who's being what. You're never going to get the full story. The full story comes with what Richie said a while ago. It comes inside of you. You have that answer already. It's how you're going to translate it to the world.
It's all within us, and it's scary to dive deep inside you, try to
What were struggles you had doing that?
just a lot of trauma really, and also a lot of trauma that like my parents probably carried. that like wasn't familiar to me, but it had to be passed down from something. And just dealing with a bunch of shit, whether it be like drug use or alcohol use. So it's just really knowing what's important and what I want in life.
Right.
Like, do I want to keep going down this route or do I want a family? You know?
Right.
And that's why it's like it's beautiful seeing like you and Jenny post stuff because it's like that's the way it's supposed to be. You know,
Right.
we're not all perfect, but it's beautiful to see it happen. You know.
Yeah. To love somebody, to love your partner, and then have children from that person, it was a profound moment in my life. And now each one of them came with the responsibility of guidance. And my oldest is 22, which is my daughter. Actually, I have 5 children. Then my son who's 20. But man, as the years went by, it was really like learning on the fly, not to be upset, but guide, And so if we can, as a couple or as a family, inspire to have patience with your own self, because your child is just,
It's a mini version of you, or
it's a
what?
piece of your personality. And now you have to raise that personality and guide that personality, right? Because you're like, I've always wanted to be a painter. My son draws. My son is like a massive music head. That's me. So these little pieces of personality come out and they become a person, and then you guide that person as best as you can. And the way me and my partner did it was through the fire. And not having an elder, not having abuelos that taught us that, we had to learn how to be that for them at a very young age. And so, if we can inspire the next generation to even just not do what we did, because we're our own people, but to kind of just remember the love that kind of created your family. And when you decide not to be a part of that anymore and split it up, that trauma is in itself. And so keep your prayer strong, and know that you're affecting the next 7 generations. Even if they're not your kid, because you're not my kid, bro. Like, you could be my kid, but I love you like that. But you know what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
I treat all people in every age group as my children, like they're my children. I got to give them good advice. I have to give them, if they want an opinion of me, because I am a musician. They always, hey, what do you think, or how do you know this, or whatever. It's like, I just guide them to their own espejo, their own self.
Yeah, I like that right there.
Yeah.
That's what we all are. You know, we're all mirrors. You know, so that's pretty cool how you said it.
Yeah. I don't have the answers, man. I know what I know, but it's like, it's
Everybody's
better when
life
you
is
look at your own self, because then you see your own complexity. And if you can't answer that, if you stand in front of a mirror and you can't answer what you're seeing, then you're in a good position, because you're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to evolve and have a good intention and know that my actions lead to myself being happy and my environment being happy. That's the way the ancients thought. If I could live in a jungle and make it beautiful,
That's the dream right there.
right?
That's the dream.
Yeah.
That's beautiful to see. You know, that's the dream, and like yeah, we all want to live the dream, whatever the dream is, whatever your goal is. You know, that's what we're all striving for, and it's like fuck all the materialistic things and fuck all the drugs. Like at this point in my life, you know, I just want a good life for me and like for my partner, and trying to be ready so when we do become parents, you know, we have the ability to teach them right, teach them everything right, and that's what's dope about you guys. You know, you guys gave all your kids, you know, native names, and
Yeah.
it's like slowly but surely, each generation, we're getting back to our roots, and
Right.
it's like I look at you, your generation, much love to your generation, and you see my generation, and it's
Absolutely.
like cool. But now I'm looking at the next generation, which they're way more smarter, and they're
Yeah.
like getting this at a young age. So, you know, the this country's only getting more brown. So
Right.
it's like, can't wait for the future.
I mean, there, you cannot manipulate the beings that live on us Earth. It's far beyond your understanding. Do you get that? Like the Earth, like we think, just because we see pictures from
Like
NASA
3D,
or we see a map and we go, oh yeah, like we've been through every square inch of this, and that's not true. It's an illusion. It's like almost like the flat Earth thing, right?
Flat Earths are like the Earth inside the Earth.
You want to know why I think flat Earth, Armando, is a good topic? Because you're a smart dude, and I want you to conceptualize this. Why do you think I think the flat Earth thing is like a good thing to pick to like pitch to people?
Are you into the truth? Like, you know, that's some like some truther conspiracy theorist type label,
Uh huh.
right? But I don't blame you for saying that because there's a lot of YouTube videos out there that kind of validate that point of view.
Well, I mean, I think people pick flat Earth because it can't be disproved. I mean, you could get close.
Me personally, I actually believe the earth is flat because you cannot believe what the mainstream media tells you.
Yeah.
Straight up.
But then you're just by
And-
default, you're like,
And
yeah, it's totally
I've
against what
probably
they say.
seen the same YouTube videos as Zero has.
Uh huh.
And these dudes have great
Scientists
points.
and all that shit.
Yeah. I don't
And
like the
it's not a
dome.
coincidence that they all kind of coincide with one another. You know what I'm saying? Because just like how they teach us in school that the world is round,
Mhm.
right? Like, for me, that's already a problem there because it's like the manufactured narrative is what I'm against.
Mhm.
And that's part of it, right? Am I right? Like growing up as a kid, they just kind of instill that, like, the world is round,
Mhm.
the earth is round, right?
Yeah, but when you are the only, like, say for instance, NASA, right? It's not like you go, oh yeah, you know what? I have a telescope just as good as NASA, and I don't think the fucking world is flat. It's round. Look, see, you can't disprove it. And if you're the only agency that has the power to supposedly create a lens that sees things, we just automatically go, oh yeah, it's NASA. That's right. You know?
Well, SK1 says, I don't believe in the flat earth, but I haven't been into outer space yet to prove it isn't.
And that's why, like, we're never gonna know.
Exactly. You can't disprove it, so it's perfect, right? Just picture a guy in a fucking Pioneer fucking wagon who wrote a story about
I don't
fucking.
even, I don't even believe we went to the moon. Because there's no fucking way in the 50s or 60s these white men had this technology to go to the moon, walk
now you
around,
don't have
and
it.
come back.
And now you
Like,
don't have
I'm
it.
just being
Never.
real, Zero. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm into that conspiracy theory, but
And then-
there's no fucking way we went to the moon,
Alright.
bro.
In that video right there.
I do
too,
believe that they did attempt it and sent the monkeys into space.
fucking that shit
because-
Oh, because they're fucking cruel like that. It's like, fuck, dude, let's just shove this monkey in the fucking thing, dude. Let's see. Dude, he didn't die.
they had a
dude. He
fucking
died.
camera in there too, right? Like,
Poor monkey shit.
But
and it was all a plot to compete with the Russians, right?
Russia.
But look, in the debate that Nixon had with JFK, right? Because JFK was the one, oh, we got to get to the moon, we got to
We're
get to
gonna
the
go to space in 10 years. and
right.
shit.
So in that debate, people have to go back to that documentary series that what's the name? Oliver Stone did, right? And he shows a clip of the debate between Nixon and JFK, and Nixon's pushing TV. TV is the next technology. TV is the frontier. Free TV. You're trying to go to space, and we're trying to make TV available in every home. And but why? It's important to have a TV in every home to broadcast the fucking
The
spaceship shit,
To program it.
right? It's like, come on, dude. It's like the big picture is being shown by it's showing itself.
So
And
how,
like,
so how do you feel about the modern day propaganda with Elon Musk and SpaceX taking over NASA and potentially saying that they're gonna fly us to Mars now, right? It's now it changed from the moon now to living on
To
Mars.
go colonize Mars.
right? How could you prove that they didn't do it? That's brilliant, dude. It's like fucking brilliant. It's brilliant to go. I mean, I wish I could come up with an idea and go, yeah, let me see. How can I get people to believe I could take them to Venus? You know, and just coming up with a crazy idea and having enough money to promote it. Because think about it.
And
If,
but
if the only way I'd believe it, Armando, is if Elon Musk got in the motherfucking spaceship himself and shot himself to Mars and then said, "Hey, dudes, I'm here." You know, that's
well,
the only way.
So, like live,
and
fucking
that
on
brings it
live.
back to the whole indigenous culture and movement and the foundation of it. It's like for me, when people talk about shit like that, I'm like, well, they must have, those concepts and those ideas, they must have fucking grabbed them from, you know, the people that built the Mayan, that actually developed the Mayan calendar and built, the pyramids out in Mexico. You know what I'm saying? That math, like you said, it all comes down to the math, but it's due to people like them back in hundreds or thousands of years that these people kind of think that way.
That they feel that they could create a spaceship,
Right, yeah.
and travel.
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Because I'm sure you've seen, drawings from ancient centuries where there's a
They look
fucking
like in a
alien up in the
spaceship and
moon, or
shit.
there's a sun and there's like a fucking spaceship.
Okay, so when you look at, you got to take yourself completely out of Western or European science to even just start sitting and talking about Maya Mexica, because they were into certain days doing certain things, right? Like today is the day of the death, right? The death icon, 8 death. And they all went, wow, today we need to reflect on those that have passed. What wisdoms can we bring into? And we walk through the day
They were just in tune.
in tuned, right? It's like, the calendar's in tuned. These guys are just going, well, who's gonna know if they survive? Let's just shoot them in there and see how far it goes. Hey, man, they made it halfway. Well, next expedition, we're gonna be successful. We're having a little trouble with the radio, but they haven't communicated. But hey, they text me and they said they were cool. So look, I mean, come on, dude. This is who we believe is brilliant people.
Like,
Right.
all right, then it goes back to the round, or is the Earth round or flat? If it is flat, why are they lying to us saying it's round? What's the benefit? Or that's something we don't understand. Or
I mean, the way science
get out
looks
of
at it is they go, wow, it's this big, it travels at this amount of space, and it goes around. And they're just guessing. They're not like, they may be throwing stuff in the orbit and doing the whole thing, but look, I wrote in a verse, and I hate to like pitch my own things because I'm not that kind of guy, but
What's
it's
the
all,
freestyle?
it's like an ant. In my verse, I explain it's like an ant going up a tree, right? Picture one ant going up a tree, and that ant's perspective is,
What's in front?
damn, the world is huge. Oh my God, I look going all over this. And then he's in a fucking forest of millions of trees. That's how the earth is to humans. Don't get caught up in the ego of knowing that your Mother Earth can be conceptualized by that one ant on that one tree in an abundant forest.
Yeah, I feel you. It's because that little ant could just see that versus an eagle sees the whole fucking forest and shit.
Right. So the ego has a different hierarchy of knowledge and view, perspective, right? That's the way we got to view this world. View the world opposite of a colonized, oppressive regime of individuals that lasted 528 years, according to Indigenous
The
1492.
the little globe that's in like at schools on the desk, the teacher's desk.
Right.
That globe was invented in 1492. So it's like a little.
Yeah, see, I mean, come on, it's like you have to create a globe to go, I own it, right? Because if not, people are gonna go, like, if the globe isn't there, they're gonna be like, you're gonna be like, I own the world. What world? The air world that's like not in front. No, I have to build a model so you can understand that I own this. That's the way I see that. Because if you're wise, like the abuelos of the ancient time, that's what they knew. That's why they were able to go so far into certain understandings.
Or like, how did our
Because they never said, oh, I get it. The world is round. I get it. It's like, I know all the answers. They never were like that. They're like, oh, wow. this doorway opened up this understanding.
Yeah.
Oh, this doorway opens up.
How do you think our people knew that North America was like the shape of a turtle?
I think that it's not far-fetched to have a conversation with the turtle, but not in the way that we talk to humans, right? Through meditation. These guys were meditating. They used to personify their soul. So the mind and heart were connected through whatever ceremony or whatever ingestation of whatever they used to guide, and did not own that wisdom and then make a propaganda to the city. They just innately gave their opinion. And that's how I think they conceptualized the world is round, the world is flat, the world's a turtle. That's how they did it. Do you understand? It's an innate connection. It's like, that's what I'm saying. When you ingest medicines that are from ancient cultures, it's not to boost your ego. It's to open a doorway so you could see, and then the creator is trusting you enough to articulate what you saw.
It's not to boost the ego, it's to kill the ego.
Yeah. I mean, everybody posts that, kill the ego, kill the ego. It's really knowing and focusing what you saw and how are you going to articulate the most beautiful thing you've ever saw or felt, right? I remember a story with one of my very, very good friends who, his painting is right up in this altar. And we took medicine, and then we had a break. And he comes up to me, he's like, dude, I don't feel anything. Like, dude, I took a lot, and I don't feel nothing. And I'm like, maybe you're trying to see something instead of feel. Right? Because, again, I'm going to always reference the center point of our universe, which is our corazón, which is our heart, which is our yolo. Because you can go brain dead, right, Mondo? Is that a medical fact?
That's a fact.
Can you go heart dead? I think you'd be dead.
Yeah.
And so that proves my point, is that you, as long as your heart is giving pumps, but your mind is so traumatically turned off, then life is, at that.
Just want to shout out 13 viewers. We got Zero of El Vuh right here. LA natives. We got Richie right here from Indigenous1492.com, right?
We got Dula Jenny Silva handling the answering. Babe, are you doing the answering back, people? I got the nod.
Shout out to DJ Extra Medium.
DJ Extra Media? I like that one. I want to shout out everyone, Cosmic Force, because they really got the views up on the podcast, and everyone else who's been sharing our page of LA natives. I guess everyone's recognizing our intentions and knowing that, we're here just to have very good conversations that may hopefully help you to, that one dream of unification and camaraderie and commerce, and then all of it put together.
And make sure you guys support, buy the beanies, buy the t-shirts, buy the hats.
Indigenous1492. I bought a hat and he gave me a shirt. I was like, dude, how do you make money that way?
Well, I correlate it with hip hop, dude. I see someone rocking that, and I'm like, yo, you're a indigenous head.
Right.
That's how I describe people.
Right.
Am I right? Zero? Is that?
That's a dope way to describe it.
It's not like I can't see. I don't know. It just, for me personally, I can't see old 80-year-old lady rocking that.
Right.
But I can see a b-boy that's into the indigenous culture and movement rocking that. Like, yo, I'm proud of rocking this. Like, I'm an indigenous head. I'm like, what I'm saying? I want to represent.
Does this clothing line have a hip hop kind of what Armando's talking about? Like, has that vibe of that hip? Because when you were rocking Adidas, like, dude, oh, that's a hip hop head.
Right.
That's what you're trying to describe, right?
And the culture behind pieces like that. What are those called again?
The bucket hats.
The bucket hats, bro. Come on.
Oh yeah.
How many hip hop heads do we know?
Yeah.
That rock bucket hats, right? You know what I'm saying?
LL Cool J, all the famous heads.
The
Yeah.
beanies. know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel it. Yeah. I see a bunch of people. I seen old people wear 'em. I do see a bunch of the rappers wear, it, especially
Yeah.
down here. But that's just cause like I'm cool with you guys and like
Yeah.
so. Shout out to all you
P Dog,
G Dogs, Sipatli,
all of them.
Cosmic Force, Azomali,
Azo,
everybody.
Azomani's
40.
dope.
And
Yeah.
and the clothing and the merchandise looks excellent, bro. You're a full blown fashion designer, man.
Oh, thank you.
Am
I
I
hope
right?
did I cross the line by calling you a clothing designer or something like that?
I guess I don't know.
Nah, I mean, come on, think
He
about it.
is, right, Zero?
Absolutely, bro. Like, I mean, I think he like
There's a lot of
like
thought
in
that
Sudhenso.
comes behind this logo. Like the logo alone is dope.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it took time. You designed this, bro. You go put the one up. Unless someone else did that. No, it was all you,
Yeah,
right?
I mean, I just get them embroidered, but yeah.
No, but you
The
know the
idea.
placement
Yeah.
and you know the font. I mean, Armando, you work
And you
with
run around with hip hop artists, like with P Dog, right? AKA
Latawani P.
Latuani P.
Latwani P. Follow Latwani P.
Shout out to him, man.
Shout out.
Go check out his new track,
Yeah.
the last track of Latawani P.
So that's what another thing that I thought having Richie come in is that he does have that hip hop influence and he listens to all kinds. Who you bumping right now? Who?
Am I bumping right now?
What do you do? What are you into right now?
Like right now, I'm just bumping like hip hop. I'm bumping a bunch of like Larry June right now.
Okay.
So Larry June.
I like his taste of music. This guy has an eclectic taste in music. So
Bumping, what else am I bumping right now? Some dude named Chewy.
Chewy?
From Sacramento. He's
Okay.
pretty dope right now. But yeah.
I like that you like. It's like he does the.
Are you
people
talking
who-
about Triz and Chewy?
Yeah.
Yeah, Triz is dope. We actually had him in here
Oh,
Oh, no
like
way.
a couple years ago. He did a mic session for us.
Yeah, I've been bumping him a lot lately.
He's hard.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta check him out. I haven't heard him.
But yeah.
But look, I want to ask you a quick question, Richie. Like, when you just came up with the domain name and you decided to put a logo on a hat, like, where did that come from? Like, when was the day? Like, how can you just in a brief, a couple sentences, like, how can you describe the day when you just woke up one day and you're like, yo, I want to throw, Indigenous on a hat and a shirt and rock it?
So we have to go back to 2015, I guess. Back 2015, I went to Cleveland. I went to Cleveland because my sister lives out there, and I stayed out there for 2 weeks. And my niece, she gifted me a Cleveland Indians hat, so I was rocking the little baseball hat. And I was just walking around all Cleveland, and I would just see everybody rocking the Indians gear, but everybody was white. So I remember I took a trip like to the cemetery, and I indulged in some psychedelics. But
Oh shit.
that's where I had like the epiphany, or like, why am I wearing this? Like, And I just envisioned a hat that said Indigenous, and came back in February and I started doing them. So that's where it started from, really. So
Nice.
from
What was the
Cleveland.
first piece? Like, was it a shirt, a hat?
The first piece was the Indigenous hat, the all black one with the logo.
All right.
And then it just started going with the little ones with the patches on it. Then it went to beanies and shirts. And yeah, it's just cool. It's cool.
And it
being
took
here.
off, right?
Yeah. Like last time I was here, like we had a cool conversation with Armando, and he told me all of this stuff. And it's like, that always stuck to me, what he told me, like getting a trademark and all that. So it's like, it's cool, because like, wanted to come and tell you, like, yo, that shit all got trademarked.
Well, bro, I'm just being honest with you. A couple months back, I have a buddy next door that prints hats and shirts, and there was a group that came, hired him to print some hats and shirts, and it literally said Indigenous on it. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, that's not your it's just like you've been able to create a brand that you could kind of say, yo, you can't imitate this or this look.
Yeah.
That's how I feel, Zero.
No, it's because it's Richie.
If you see someone else rocking something that says Indigenous, don't you think the first thing you think of is Indigenous1492?
Yeah, because it comes with the movement. Like the people that rock your stuff, either are artists or or people that just
Activists.
activists. A lot of activists rock this.
In much respect to cats that want to print Indigenous on a shirt, but those cats are doing it temporarily. They're not trying to create a movement like on like something you created, Richie.
Yeah, I've ran into a couple, and it's like to me, I think it's cool. Like, oh, like that's dope. You're doing it too, like.
Yeah.
But
See, you have the perspective of what I was talking about of knowing that the world isn't a map or a globe. there's so many people out there. There's so many communities out there that you don't need to be jealous of that individual. And but I also know what Armando's saying is don't be lazy and go,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that guy's rocking it. I'm gonna go take it. And it's like that's some like, Wasishu, or people who are just not in tune with their own art. Richie's in tune with his art and his message through his clothing. And I'm glad that he said, I'm not gonna be a rapper. Because it's like oversaturated market, but he did it with his clothing. And I'm just doing that in jest. I mean, I think anybody who feels their art, they need to do it and stuff. But I'm glad that you did it through clothing. And I know Votan, which is Insurgentes. Like I was there when he was barely starting, and he actually drew a shirt for El Vuh, one of the designs that he did. But now to see him working with the Black Eyed Peas, bro, working with like individuals that I mean, his life has changed, and I wish that nothing, I wish nothing more of that. But because you're doing it in a good way. Because I know that you're you're not trying to be rich and famous. You're trying to unite the community, and that's what we're doing with this podcast.
That's what it's all about.
You're trying to influence.
Influence, educate, motivate, whatever it is. Get back in touch to the roots. That's what it's all about. The roots.
I see you smile when you say that, and that's
It's 'cause
dope.
it's like a little inside joke with my friends because like it's always going back to the roots.
Yeah,
Like I be having friends and sometimes they be into like materialistic shit or like too much into TV or too much like go back to your roots. So it's just my little inside joke too with my homies and shit. Shout out to Paco and Cali's son, Jay Eloquence.
Hell yeah, do shout outs. Do who else?
Shout
Do you got to
out.
shout out more? I know you do, bro. He's a-
Special shout out, rest in peace, little dog. If you guys know me, I had a little chihuahua.
Oh no way!
Yeah,
I saw that. That was
yeah,
it was a
she-
good looking chihuahua right there. I saw that.
She died on Friday, so R.I.P. little dog.
Oh,
What,
And,
what was
shout
her
out
name?
Little dog.
Little dog.
She
Little
was a
dog.
little dog.
Little dog. That's like a rapper name, right?
You know,
she's gonna do her open. What is it? The mic sesh. She was scheduled, but
she was scheduled, but yeah.
she had to guide somebody through the spirit world. And much love to people who get close to animals in that way. I know it's a traumatic thing to lose them, and
So it's like, yeah. So shout out to my mom because I know she's going through it.
Yeah.
'cause that was her dog and shit. And
Oh.
all this change happening right now.
Did it pass away like naturally through
Um,
age or like like
she had an infection in her uterus and I guess it exploded and she started bleeding. So they took her to the vet and put her down. So, R.I.P. little dog.
R.I.P.
And
R.I.P.
shout out to Sachi.
Yeah, so she's been pretty quiet,
She's
but
been quiet, but she's the one behind the whole trademark and the whole web page. So like,
Oh,
she
serious?
does a lot,
Oh, okay,
so-
cool. What actually do you do for Richie and stuff? Do you take his photos?
I just support him with whatever he does. Like I help them do his whole website, his trademarks. Cause like
Oh, cool.
I believe it was you who told him that he should have his. Stuff.
Yeah, Mondo.
Yeah.
Mondo did that.
Can you talk into the mic?
Yeah. So we trademarked his stuff. We met in March. No, May. Yeah, May. Yeah. And then ever since then, it's kind of been just like a roller coaster, and then trying to support Richie with everything he does.
Oh, okay. But
Right.
She takes the photos and
she does photos. I imagine because you're the one in the photo.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's like kind of hard to do. That's cool when a couple comes together and they believe in something and they work together to get that done. I know what it's like. My partner right here, she's, handling the answering back over here. She's off camera. She had to do her own work and still came to the podcast. So shout out to my wife,
Shout
Jenny,
out.
Dula, Silva. I don't know. Should I do that, Jenny?
Well, you know what, Richie, I'm honored that I influenced you to trademark. Was it Indigenous 1492?
Indigenous 1492 and make America indigenous again.
That's right. Hey,
yeah.
that's very important.
So
Zero.
even before like the whole podcast thing, like I was telling her about you, like yeah, like he told me to trademark it, so it's cool that we trademark it because she was on my ass about it too. So it's like,
It's
Oh,
a
serious?
popular thing.
Were
man.
you here that day?
nah, she wasn't
No.
here. She
No.
didn't even know me at that time.
No.
But yeah,
So Mondo, hey, you think we could pull up a video, get like a 2-second break, and then come back and kind of wrap it up with Richie, but I appreciate you. We're not leaving yet. We're gonna take a little break. I like to showcase an artist that I think is cool and that you should do some research on and maybe follow them, because all we have is each other. Don't expect a rich record label to come out of nowhere and save your ass, because that's not the way it works. You got to do something for them, and that's the way it works.
We're gonna go ahead and play Natani Means.
Yeah,
There
that
you go,
dude. See, this that
Natani.
tells
Shout
me
out
we're
to
like
Natani.
telepathically connected, because that's what exactly I was asking you to do. So Natani, shout out everybody. Give some comments, follows, and all that stuff. So, because Natani, I'm gonna try to hit him up to come on the show and stuff like that. So,
Shout out to Natani.
shout out. He's the son of Russell Memes, who is a very, very important activist in the AIM movement. So he has like lineage. This guy is pretty dope.
Let's get into this.
It's cool.
One time. Back once again, the MC with the medicine. Hop in the booth, spit the truth like they afraid of him. Buying my style, these rappers are piranha. Hoeing yourself, doing anything for labels to sign ya. So what you say? Saying that you for the cause, but you want that pay. Saying carpe diem, but you never seize the day. We say fuck the fame, about to kill the game like Jordan at the buzzer. Or when my people kill Custer, that's authentic. We can see a mile away, your whole style's rented. I'm offended even when you in my presence. I'm a motherfucking menace, sick with the flow, no tetanus. I keep the power in my necklace for these haters in vicinity. Been a remedy for centuries, not to give a fuck about my enemies. Still dreams of living free, riding with my G's. My blood goes back to creation, to creation, to creation. Native like my blood goes back to creation, to creation. Native before America was a nation, was a nation, was a nation. Native before America was a nation, was a nation. Been here, live here, the plan wasn't still fear. Guess what? Still here. 500 years of epigenetic pain been running through our veins. So what you really saying when he chasing all that fame? Watch the people in your face acting fake. They don't have the heart or the muscle to relate to the struggle that we face every day. So while you spread the hate, we elevate and pray for better days. Can't you see the shit we been through? Losing all my kin to everything we sin to. Sharpen up the Ginsu, and we just continue. Back on the war path, repping, no more half-stepping. Uncle Sam threatened ever since I stepped in. Not knowing prayer has been our greatest weapon. Power and the knowledge in the fist that I'm clenching. Fighting for the earth, we've been set tripping. Native like my blood goes back to creation, to creation, to creation. Native like my blood goes back to creation, to creation. Native before America was a nation, was a nation, was a nation. Native before America was a nation, was a nation, was a nation.
He ain't home, so he ain't there. Talking about our people like he's activist now.
I speak words that make this profound. Rather die on my feet than live on the ground. This is struggle, this is pain, this reality. These are nations, this my people, this my family. I went to college, started rapping, why you mad at me? Killing rappers with the truth, man, I gotta claim insanity. We drink and smoke, we sell this dope. We tying knots at the end of our ropes. But homie, where's our hope? I got demons, just like you. Hid my pain in this drinking, just like you. I found serenity and praying to the east. Hoping one day I find my inner peace. Until then, I'm bombing on my enemies. Always repping where I'm from. I come from dirt streets. This is native like my blood goes back to creation. To creation, to creation. Native like my blood goes back to creation. To creation, to creation. Native before America was a nation. Was a nation, was a nation. Native before America was a nation. Was a nation.
Niggas wanna challenge me. Just tell me. Niggas wanna challenge me. Do your own thing.
Y'all, we out here in the woods and shit. It's all beautiful as fuck. This shit beautiful, cuz.
The earliest edict of this kind was the Doom de Versailles. issued by Pope Nicholas V, which gave colonizing Europeans permission directly from God to, quote, capture, vanquish, and subdue the enemies of Christ, to put them into perpetual slavery, and to take all their possessions.
Half can style, half jab, on my lyrics hit hard. Half can style, half jab, on my lyrics hit hard.
It seems like the trail of tears never ends. The harder the light, the darker the skin. When did this begin? The greed of evil men who happen to have white, pale skin. Write down the laws, create their constitutions. We the people, just a pimped out illusion. A trickery of words that deceive the lost herds. But ancient are my people, let us send my word. Cause the gods of time, they write my rhymes. They keep my heart divine so I can see between the lines. The stars are the sign that travels space and time. You can never own my spirit, you will never own my mind.
They stand for my place in the stars. Half can style, half jab, on my lyrics hit hard. Half can style, half jab, on my lyrics hit hard. Lyrics hit hard. Lyrics hit hard. Half can style, half jab, on my lyrics hit hard.
You see the spirits in the wind have a deal with men to never hurt the earth and to always defend the elders, the children. Sacred is the flower that we call our women. The power of creation, the seventh generation, the carriers of light. They suffered so much through a 500-year night. Raping Spaniards, pedophile priests, manifest destiny, mark of the beast. We seem to have forgotten the Spanish Inquisition when they murdered fucking millions in the name of their religion. Another modern day rendition, but a vaccine inquisition. Remember billionaire elites and corrupt politicians. These are the seeds of white supremacy, white superiority over colored majorities. Doctrine of discovery, 1493.
Ghost of the ancient, set in the stage set. Ghost of the ancient, set in the stage set. Ghost of the ancient, set in the stage set. Ghost of the ancient, set in the stage set.
Into the Vatican, dragging the Pope with a rosary. Into the Vatican, dragging the Pope with a rosary. Into the Vatican, dragging the Pope with a rosary.
And we're back with Mr. Ritchie, 1492. Have you heard of Natani?
Have I heard of it? Yeah, I heard of Natani. Natani's pretty dope.
I have a Natani story. And in Riverside, Armando, I played for this Indigenous Day as a solo artist at Zero. And I played with Natani. And he had just done MTV kind of like like a 3-minute documentary on him or something like that. And he's all, yeah, I got on MTV and this and that. I'm like, oh, that's so cool, bro. Like, cause we're native and we need to like have that message. And I'm glad that you're like, cause he's obviously of the younger generation, you know.
Yeah, I've been bumping Natani, and I believe he was also up there at North Dakota. So like,
he's active.
Yeah.
The brother's active, and he's like a cool type of active because he's himself. He enjoys himself just like you do, you know, like in terms of whatever recreational things you decide to do. But yeah, he's
message and like everything.
he's young at heart. He's young
Everything his dad probably taught him. Like,
Oh, man.
he instills it in his hip hop, so that shit's dope. And
Yeah, to be the son of Russell Memes, who, in my opinion, there are two individuals that I really look up to in terms of. I mean, Russell wasn't really a poet; he was very more like an activist and a political speaker. But the way Russell used to talk to reporters or even senators was in a very direct, unapologetic, and firm way. Like, I don't want to do anything with your system. Your system has oppressed me and killed. And hearing that kind of a voice, like I'm talking about when I grew up, being 17, 18, 19 years old, and hearing someone talk to a reporter in that way, something happened in the sense that it's like, it's not bravery, it's like one of his ancestors is going, you represent my whole lineage, and this is the way you need to speak right now. And it taught us how to stand up for each other. So I recommend you listen to Russell's speeches, all of the community, all of the LA natives. We're going to give some homework because you guys need to get on these guys. Russell memes. And a lot of people will say, like, oh, well, he did a Disney movie and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, whatever. I mean, people do stuff. But the power in his words during the time of AIM and the way he used to just talk to anyone of representation of the United States, he talked with a force, kind of like another individual that I recommend, which is John Trudell.
Oh, John Trudell.
Trudell is like he's like my Bob Marley when it comes to poetry and conceptualizing.
There's one where he starts off like, I'm gonna be saying all this, but don't listen to me. I'm crazy.
Yeah.
I'm crazy. And then, like,
And you know, he was supposedly what I call the first Latino, which is Mexican. He was his mom was Mexican and native. So that's my whole thing about talking about. Remember earlier in the show when we talk
Being
about
one.
being one, it's like breaking down those barriers. Because I know where you were coming from. Right away is the first thing is like, but what about the people that hold their medicine very sacred and they're like, no, we're this tribe and
or like federalized, recognized.
right, they
yeah.
whip out their fucking BIA card or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like, you're still upholding their systems and shit.
right. I mean, it's not even about that either. It's like, as long as I say that I live in that path of understanding that the earth is sacred, the sun is sacred, the water is sacred, everything around me is sacred. That's like the meat and potatoes of being native, and what you call global indigenous, right? That's a new one. Hashtag global indigenous. There we go. We just found another hashtag to do.
You didn't hear white people saying that. I'm global indigenous.
Well, I mean, let's not. I mean, look, I just can't. It's hard. I knew this day would come where you're trying not to be abrasive because of a person's skin. But it's not. When we say white people, I want to clarify, and maybe you tell me if I'm on the right track. When I say white people, I think people that think that they own the earth, that they could destroy the water, that they could incarcerate children, that they could murder in the name of a flag. That's when I talk about white people. Okay, let's get that clear. Because people get automatically, they're like, oh, well, they hate all white people. It's not that. We hate the white person's view or perception of land ownership, of equal rights. I mean, all of that shit. Come on. Here's the key to understanding white people's version of being peaceful. Civil rights. Please, be civil, please. We all have the right to be civil. Rights are civil rights. Like, look, smash that and think, and this is the way I think, Richie. I was born into a planet that has always been dangerous. It has never been nice. I've caught in nice moments, but I've always been aware that there's always been someone trying to oppress me, someone trying to incarcerate me, someone trying to poison me. It's my job to be aware of these things coming at me and finding those spaces on this earth.
See the beauty in the ugly.
Exactly. To go, wow, what a vast valley. I mean, me and my partner just recently went to Joshua Tree and had an amazing one night together and really connected on a level that I've never really connected, and it wasn't a lot of hoopla. It was just two people
Under the stars.
under the stars. And it's that simple. It's that simple. It's not complex to be proud of who you are, but not in a way that's going to hurt another. Don't lose that part of being indigenous. Be aware. Know that when someone talks fast and someone's trying to take, they're coming from that perspective, so you know how to avoid. Just like you would avoid an animal coming to attack you, or an enemy coming to attack you. It's not that complex. So when we say hashtag global, or if you're white and you happen to say hashtag global indigenous, you better be on the right principles. The principles that the earth is sacred, that even if you have more knowledge than the next man, you don't throw it in their face. Even if you have the eagle feather from the highest mountain given to you by the oldest native, you know that that's a humble item. That item gets brought out, not to be put in someone's face as a badge or some sort of stripe, but your medicine. Someone loved you enough to give you that.
And also too, for them too, you know, they have strong medicine too, you know, they should also like return back to their roots too, whether it
Absolutely.
be Druid, Celtic,
Absolutely.
whatever roots they come from, you know, embrace it and own it too, you know. And that's the beautiful thing about being global indigenous.
Yeah, global indigenous perspective. There you go, Richie. You have a new shirt. Global indigenous. I mean, he came up with it, right? The dude's like,
But it said it.
this is Armando, though, dude. Like, he knows geniuses.
He's gonna trademark that. Watch next week.
It's cool though, because that's what it. When you build a temple, a city, the outcome is everybody contributed to it, so then everybody gets to bask in the glory of whatever they built. That's this podcast. We met Richie. Hopefully, Richie becomes the great entrepreneur he needs to be and the great designer he needs to be, right? But he knows that when he comes to this podcast, to LA Natives, twitch.tv/LA Natives, that he has a home, and this is not an ego trip. This is like, come and eat with us, come and share knowledge with us, come and share your brand with the community. And yeah, that's the way we do things here, dude. Thanks for coming.
No doubt. Thanks for having me. And like, best of luck. You know, I know this shit's gonna blow up, and it's a beautiful thing what you guys are doing here. You know,
We're doing.
getting the voice out. You know?
Right. We're doing, right, Richie? Because you're going to come back.
Planting those seeds and
Yeah.
shit.
You're going to come back. You're not just a guest, bro. Like, you could come on whenever you want. It's like, I think if you have something to say or something to show, you hit me up on a text and we'll try to figure that out. Because this is like, like Divine Forces Radio. It's like it was like a community. Did you ever get to hear that, Richie? Oh, man. So, wow.
What's that?
Now I don't feel
Underground
really
radio.
old. Anyways, Divine Forces Radio was a show done by Fidel Rodriguez, who really put on like Psycho Realm, like all the groups of Los Angeles that kind of made noise. They got to play the big clubs like, the House of Blues and shit like that. Fidel had some sort of connection with them, or putting them on, or, he was that kind of a dude, man. And I just, when his showing off the air, that kind of, went away in a way. And so if we can revive that, then.
That's right. Yo, this is a cool question that a fan just commented on Twitch. So I guess this is for both of y'all.
All right.
So he's like, I have a question. How do you deal with people in your inner circle that don't support your indigenous culture?
Well, it's not for other people to support. This is an individual road. And that's the beauty about indigenous teachings, is that it wasn't an indoctrination to something. It was someone who knew if he sat you on a mountain for 3 days, that you would eventually see something that's going to be impactful to your life. And so you go on your own individual road. How you address people who love you and don't understand your metamorphosis to your truth, that's something you'll have to learn how to navigate, because my mom to this day trips out on my tattoos, my plugs, my mohawk. I mean, to this day, she's like, "Ay, mijo, why you do that? Like, I don't get it." Like, and I don't think of it as a bad thing. I think of it as like, Mom. And then she pops out like, "Yeah, we were a tribe in the desert. Yeah, I remember your grandma used to tell me that." And I was like,
Yeah, we used to use these plants too.
How about you, Richie?
I mean, you can't let that shit get you down, because it's just gonna eat you up. You can't change the way a person thinks, you know? Like how you just said, it's for you to walk on alone and for you to plant those seeds. And if they get it, they'll eventually get it. If they don't, at least you tried, you know?
Well,
And I don't believe you should break up with your friends just because
Yeah.
but
they're
I
not-
know how friends could be, though. I know that they could be like throwing it in your face because you don't have proof, right? Well, where's your proof? Where's your card? Where's your blood quantum? Like if they became fucking scientific lab experts and they can read your blood and go, oh, yeah, you are fucking, it doesn't matter,
The
brother.
nature
It doesn't really matter. But I know what you're saying. It's hard for people that you think are important to you in your life and they make fun of it. Well, then sometimes, when you go to ceremony, there's a group with you, but you're alone in your own thought. So when you ask to be indigenous, know that you're asking for, if you thought life was being hard because you didn't know anything of your culture, well, now you know. And now you know that you had to go through people firing guns at you, people incarcerating you, people. That's what it means to take this path. So it takes ultimate discipline, humility, and love. But a different kind of love, not a nostalgic love, not a love that manipulates you. A love that you go, no, this is who I am. No matter what you say, this is who I am. I don't care what you say.
It's like a duty, a responsibility to your ancestors and the future generations, you know? If you want to walk it, cool, you know? If you don't, then
It comes with challenges, is what we're saying, Armando. It's not like I'm gonna go, oh yeah, all you have to do is this, bro. Put a big tea of peyote in tea and then give it to them and you're native and everybody will think you're native. No, it doesn't work that way.
Kali Fatzlan. He was the one that asked you guys that question.
Cool. Shout out to Khalif Aslan. Thank you so much for being on the podcast and asking us that question. Hey, Armando, might be a good time. Does anybody else have a question maybe they want to hit Richie up with? I mean, come on, this guy's a genius. We don't. Yes. I want to hear your take, Richie, first.
say ceremony is whatever it means to you. You know, it could be alone, it could be with a group, but just ceremony is a way of life. Like if you say you're not going to do something, that's like your own ceremony. But then, of course, there's also ceremonies like sweat lodges, which is like, yeah, you know, the beautiful thing about those is going in there, hearing the songs, but ceremony could be, to me at least, it could be anything. I could go to the beach with the Nathan Shrooms and have my own little ceremony, you know?
Right. So
The last time I had shrooms, I was literally stuck on the floor. I was tripping out, Zero.
you got to be careful with those. You got to be careful. Here's my take on ceremony. So when you do a ceremony, you're trying to remember a certain point in time, something you did, something you created, maybe an epiphany, you know? And it doesn't have to be elaborate, but however much intention you put into whatever you build to commemorate those moments, that place in time, your awakening, your feeling, that's a ceremony. You're going, I'm feeling something right now. You got a lighter. Can you pass me a lighter? If anyone can pass me a lighter. Thank you. Thank you so much. And you burn some medicine and you commemorate those thoughts or that prayer, right? That intention, like what we do on the show. Then the bigger ceremonies come. Then you start correcting your attitude, correcting your perspective on life, knowing that this plant and this smoke is carrying your intention. That to me is ceremony. And then you become such a great character that the ancestors bring you to other circles where they're doing the same thing. in their own way. That too is a ceremony, a collective ceremony. So just like the heartbeat fluctuates in and out, in and out, your ceremony will fluctuate in that same manner. Group, alone, group, alone. And I heard in your voice that you haven't had ceremony in a long time. But I think you understand that concept that I was talking about. Like a ceremony is when you commemorate a feeling, someone passing, whatever you do. I'm going to put this sage here. I'm going to put that altar that you see on the camera. And then I'm going to take the time to really believe what I'm saying right now to my own self.
Whenever you go into the mountains,
Yeah.
just being up alone on the hike, talking to myself, and like just picking up feathers or just whatever, That's a ceremony in its own. Like the brother Jag said last week too on the show,
Mm-hmm.
his whole life is a ceremony for him, walking that path, not taking drugs. So shout out to Jag for that,
Yeah, shout out to Cosmic Force, shout out to Jag and his road and his sober road.
That's a ceremony right there.
So hopefully we helped with that answer. And there's no right or wrong way to do it. That's our power. That's the strength that our ancestors gave you, is that it was so simple. It's not complex at all. So do we have anybody else that has a question, Jenny? Nobody? Okay.
Yep. 5 minutes.
5 more minute wrap up. Richie, thank you once again for coming, brothers. All the community to LA natives who tuned in, who had a question. I want to give away stuff.
And keep in mind, Zero, we are at our peak right now with live viewers. So everyone who's tuning in, make sure you guys share this video to other people who couldn't make it with us live. Make sure you join us next week.
Yes, 4 o'clock. 4-ish. 4:30, sometimes 4:30. Okay.
Let's try to do it 4 p.m.
4 p.m. Okay.
Yeah, every week.
That's our goal.
That's our goal.
4 p.m. But know that we have technical difficulties, and today we want to apologize to the audience because the camera had to update and had to do its thing. So, but that's okay because you guys still hang with us, and you guys know that our intention is nothing more than to bring something informative. And before we get off, what was that? What? What's happening?
Oh, I think we have another question.
Oh, okay.
I have one more question.
Perfect.
I was in the hospital back in 2017, and I had a dream. And Michotati visited me and told me that it's not my time. Do you have any words on it?
Time to go.
I explained Miklantikutli, right? The representation of the male energy of.
Sorry about that. I just couldn't
underworld.
pronounce that.
It's all good, Armando. Don't worry, you'll get it. Pretty soon, Armando be whipping off like Witzli, Lupochli, and every. Look, here's what I have to say about that question. Well, first, the guest goes first. So, what do you think? What do you think, Richie?
I mean, it wasn't their time to cross over.
Right.
It's like it just wasn't their time.
And here's my take on having experiences with this energy, right? He's constantly after you. There's no guarantee that you have the next 10 seconds of your life. Run instead of fighting it, fearing it, hiding from it. Embrace it. Shake its hand. Understand that one day he will be taking you with him. And when it's that time, you will know when that time comes. And don't be afraid, because that gives you the gift of life again. Right? Right? I mean, that's the way I feel. Perfect. I want to thank my producer, Armando. He is like my inspiration right now. He's been like my mentor in doing this podcast, and I really appreciate his energy. Thank you so much, Armando. And being on camera and chiming in, brother. Thank you. I want to thank Richie for coming, bro, and bringing gifts. and I'm gonna put together packages for the audience. And here's the thing. Here's what I want to do. All the followers that have been following us so far are going to be entered into this raffle that we're going to do next week. Okay? Whoever follows us on LA Natives and on our new Instagram page, we're going to write all those names down and we're going to put it into a raffle. Now, if you have the energy to follow us on these pages, and if you could tag us, but not tag us all week, like just putting a handle and it looks all crazy. Write something. Go, hey, this show has something to say. Maybe you should listen to it. Tag whoever. We're gonna put all those names into a raffle thing, and we're gonna give away a package, and it's gonna include Indigenous1492, all of El Vuh's catalog, a sweater, and a couple shirts from El Vuh. So it's going to be like 7 or 8 items. It's going to be like a massive box. But we need to get the message out there. We have good content. I think we did good, right, Mondo?
We did excellent. And we got one more question.
Oh, shit.
And this is for you, Richie. Who was the first indigenous hip hop artist that influenced you?
The first that, so I went to a protest. Like they were protesting Safariland. It was like the people that supplied like the rubber bullets to the North Dakota to Standing Rock. And that's where I met Jag from Cosmic Force. So like I really got into I got into Jag's music because of that day right there. So like his shit was pretty cool. And of course War of Akaza with the homie Jerry, when they were doing their thing, they were pretty cool too. And also of course El Vuh, you know.
Oh, wow.
El Vuh, yeah.
Wow, that's cool. What were you listening to before? What was, before the musical awakening?
It's always just been hip hop, really. You know?
Just
Like,
general popular
like
hip hop
Currency
stuff.
and all that.
Okay.
Stoner rap and shit.
Nice.
And everyone watching, all of his links are going to be in the bio of this episode. So it's indigenous1492.com.
So go get your representation of our movement right here. Indigenous. We're indigenous movement, a community, no hierarchies, just information, and that innate connection, not only with the earth, but with our community, right? Richie, the younger generation, and we're going to have older cats come on. And I have a lot of things planned for this podcast. And I want to shout out my partner who is handling the responses to the comments. And we want to shout out your partner, Richie Xochitl, for getting Richie legit. And I think that's it, man. I come next Sunday.
Next Sunday.
4 p.m.
4 p.m.
And enjoy LA Natives. We'll go more into deeper, and maybe we should can we show one more video or something?
Yes, let's
Leave
do
them with
that.
some music. Leave them with some music.
I have one question.
Yo.
I heard you say that you didn't believe in the dome thing. So like, what do you believe in?
Here's
He'll give us the answer next week.
Oh, you want me to give it next week?
Or you
Okay,
wanna
stay
do it?
tuned. No, that was good. I think I will give you my answer next week if I remember. But anyways.
I'll ask the
Yeah, exactly. Or come in again, dude. It doesn't matter, dude. I think we're all one family here. Shout out to Indigenous1492. Shout out to my family. Shout out to all my ancestors. Shout out to the earth. And keep hope. Not hope. No. Let me rephrase that. Understand that you have all the power to overcome anything that's being put in front of you. You are a product and a survivor of genocide. If you connect with indigenous principles and philosophies, then you have all the answers that you need to survive anything. See you next Sunday, 4 p.m.
Next Sunday, we're going to end this with Superman.
Superman. All right.
Peace.
Peace.
Pray for the ones listening right now, struggling, feel like giving it right now. I pray for you, pray that you come back home. I pray that you understand that you're never alone. I pray for the single mothers and the deadbeat dads. Drop the kids off and go party gets me mad. So I pray for peace and pray for change. Keep on praying when everything stays the same. And I pray for the pastors and all of the churches and those who cry like song following hearses. I pray for you, pray for the sick and the poor. Pray for the rich man who don't give to the Lord. And I pray for wisdom, and I pray for power, and I pray we'll be ready in the final hour. And I pray for those who keep judging ministry, and I pray for my friends and my enemies. Yeah. Come on. Yeah. Come on. Break it down.